See, if you are going to develop any real-time application, loop is a most or fundamental thing that you need to use. Without looping statement, you cannot develop any logical programming. If you want to make your logical programming strong, then you should aware about the use of a loop statement. What is loop statement? What are the different kind of loop statement available in C#? How to use loop statement? How to decide which looping statement I need to use? You should be aware about this, because if you are working with any real-time application, or those who are working with any real-time application, they might know the importance of a looping statement. They might know the importance of a for loop. They might know the importance of a while loop. They might know the importance of a for each loop, right? For each loop, I think one of the most fundamental looping statement that as a developer we used in our real-time applications, right? So you should be aware about the looping statement. Without loop statement, if you don't know loop, then you cannot write logical programming. If you want to go for logical programming, you should be aware about the loop statement. Then what are loop statements? Loops are nothing but, you can say, repeating statement or iterating statement, right? Looping statement, you can say, iteration statement, you can say, meaning is going to be same. Looping and iteration, both are having the same meaning, right? Now let us first discuss or see the definition of looping. Looping in programming languages is a feature. When I'm saying programming languages, it doesn't mean that this loop is available only in C#. Loop is available in other programming languages as well. Other programming languages like C, C++, Java, any programming language you can take, whether it is a procedural programming language or whether it is a object-oriented programming language, loop is there. What is the use or what this loop provides us? It provides the execution of a set of instruction repeatedly. So what it means now, if you want to execute some set of instructions, right? It might be a single statement or it might be a multiple statement. If you want to execute those statements repeatedly for a number of times based on some condition, then you need to use loop. What it means, now you need to understand two things. If I want to execute some statement repeatedly, then I should know when the loop is going to be stopped, right? So you need to understand two things: when the loop is start, when the loop is going to be end, right? You start the loop, and if you do not know when the loop is going to be end, and if you do not provide any condition for stopping the loop, then that loop is going to be called as an infinite loop without any end condition. So that you should have to remember while you are creating a loop. You need to provide the loop start condition, but you also have to provide the loop end condition, when the loop is going to be end. If you are not providing when the loop is going to be end, then it is going to be said as a infinite loop, a never ending loop. The loop will execute continuously, right? So the process of another definition, the process of repeatedly executing a statement. You can execute a single statement or you can execute a multiple statement or group statement until the condition is satisfied. As long as the loop condition is true, if you are executing a statement or a group of statement repeatedly, then this is called looping. In this case, when the condition becomes false, the execution of the loop terminates. The way it repeats the execution of the statement or instruction will form a circle. That's why iteration statements are called as loop. Loop means from where it will start, there again it will come to the end, right? Again it will start from there and come to that place. So it will execute the way it will form a circle, right? So that's why loops are also called as iteration statement. And another important point, loop is nothing but repeating some task for some amount of time that we already discussed. So there are two kinds of loop. One is counter loop and another is conditional loop. So we'll discuss what is counter loop and conditional loop. But now just remember, counter loop means we'll provide the number of times the loop is going to be executed. Conditional loop means, see, counter loop means I'm saying please execute this loop for 10 times. In that case, I know how many times the loop is going to be executed. If you know the number of times the loop is going to be executed, that is said to be a counter loop. What is conditional loop? In this case, we do not know in advance how many number of times the loop is going to be executed. What we know now, as long as this condition is true, the loop will be executed. Once the condition is false, the loop is going to be terminated. This loop is called conditional loop. Counter loops, in advance, you know that my loop is going to be executed from 100 times, or it's going to be executed for 200 times. If you know in advance, then it is a counter loop. If you do not know how many times the loop is going to be executed in advance, whether the loop is going to be executed depending upon the conditional statement, then that is it's said to be conditional loop, right? And let us compare this loop with one real-time example. The loop is also exist in our real-time example. Every day, I or you wake up at 6 a.m. Then you will go to jogging. Then you will come to home. You will take a bath. You will have your breakfast. Then you went to college if you are a student, or you want to go to office if you are working professional. In college, if you are going to college, you will learn something. If you are going to work, you will do some work. Once you have completed, once your college time is over, and once you completed your work time is over, then again you will come back to home. Once you come back to home, then you can watch TV or mobile, right? Once you have watched the TV and mobile, then you had your dinner. Once you have done your dinner, then you will want to sleep. And this routine is repeated every day or not? So as we are doing these things repeatedly on every day, this is nothing but, we can say, a loop in our real life, right? Even if you wake up tomorrow, you will do the same thing. So here the condition, then the question is, sir, what is the condition to break the loop? Here the condition to break the loop is die. Once you die, the loop is going to be end. And what is the condition to start the loop? So I cannot say born. So once you start, once you joining a company, or once you starting your schooling, then you can see that is the condition to start the loop. And what is the condition to end the loop? Once you die, this thing is going to be die, right? So we have already discussed counter loops are loop which is going to execute a set of instruction for a specified number of times. So in advance, you know how many number of times the loop is going to be executed. If you know in advance, then that loop is said to be a counter loop. And conditional loop which execute a specific task until the condition is true. In this case, you do not know in advance how many number of times the loop is going to be executed. What you know, until as long as the condition is satisfied, the loop is going to be executed, right? So once we discuss the examples, then you will get a better idea regarding this counter loop and the conditional loop. So is that clear? What is loop? Anybody having any question regarding this? What is loop?
Clear, sir.
Clear. Okay. Then the question is, why do we need looping? So looping means code repetition. Code repetition means if you want to repeat some, if you want to execute some code repeatedly, then you need to go for looping. The whole intention of using loop in programming language is to make the developer's job easy and make the code look clean and efficient. The developer goes for loops whenever he wants to execute some instruction a certain number of times, or wants to execute set of instruction as long as the condition is true. Okay. Okay. To give you a better understanding of the loop, let us write two program. First program without using loop, and then I will rewrite the same program using loop, and then you will come to understand what is the importance of it. Suppose you want to write a program where you need to print the number from 1 to 10 without using loop, right? Without using loop, I have to write like this. So here, see, I want to print the number 1 to 10. If I'm not using loop and I want to print line by line, right? It is not like in the same line. So I have to use this write line method. And in this case, it will print 1 and it will come to next line. It will print 2, it will come to next line. In the same way, it will print 10. So in this case, I'm not using any loop. And once I execute this program, then you will see that the number from 1 to 10. Now let's see how to rewrite the same program. using the loop. See, okay, don't go with the code, just observe the code. For, right? Right. So you can say this much of code you need to write if you are not using loop, and this is the code you need to write if you are using loop. Now, if you execute the example, then you will see that both of them are going to provide you the same output, right? So you are getting the output or not? So this is 1 to 10, and sorry, this is 0 to 9. So you need to start the loop from 1, and the loop condition is going to be less than equals to 10. See, this is 1 to 10, this is 1 to 10 or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, so you just need then you might be one question, sir. I don't think any difference between them. So even I can write the 10 line of code instead of this 4 line, which doesn't make any sense. Why I'm going to give this I int equals to 1, I less than equals to 10, I plus plus. So it is making for me to understand this code difficulty than this code. I'm feeling better to write this line of code instead of this code. But believe me, so here you are just writing 10 line of code. If I ask you to write print number 1 to 1 lakh, then what you will do? Should you write the statement console that read line like 1 to 100, 1 to 1 lakh? Yes or no? You should not, right? So if I'm writing like this continuously, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So in that case, you can go with loop. So if this is this number, if you want to print the number from this, so you just need to make this like this, right? What are exactly these things, what they are doing, that we will discuss. For now, so you just see, instead of writing this console.write line statement for 10,000 number of time, what I can do is I just need to provide 10,000 here, and this statement is going to be executed 10,000 times. And this is one example of counter loop, because I know my loop is going to be executed this number of time. You can predict in advance that loop statement is going to be executed this number of time. So as you predict, as in advance, you know how many times your loop is going to be executed. This is a counter loop. So instead of writing this code, it is always better to write this code. So what is this? Now we are providing some condition when the loop is going to be start. We are providing the condition when the loop is going to be end, right? So whenever you are creating a loop, always there are two things. One is start condition and one is end condition. When the loop is going to be end, that is important, right? And if you are not providing the condition, then always the loop is going to be invalid loop. Okay. See, I'm not writing this statement here. I plus plus, I just remove. Then in this case, once in this case, always the I value is going to be 1, right? And there is we have provided this condition when the I value becomes 1000, you will end the loop. But at any point of time, is the I value is going to become 1000? No. So this is nothing but your invalid loop. So you will see that the loop is going continuously executing, and at some point of time there is memory execution. And once the stack overflow memory is exit, then it will terminate your program. So you should avoid this. So while you are writing the looping statement, you need to take care about the end condition when the loop is going to end, right? So you understand why we need to go for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right? So basically we have in C star we have 4 types of loop. For loop, for each loop, it is a special loop to work with collection, while loop, and a do while loop. Even we have entry controlled loop and a exit controlled loop. What do you mean by entry control loop? Now, if the looping condition is going to be tested before executing the loop body, then it is called entry control loop. And what is exit control loop? Now, if the condition is going to be checked after executing the loop body, then that is going to be said exit control loop. The example of an entry control loop are while loop, for loop, and for each loop. And example for exit control loop is do while loop. So in case of a do while loop, it at least it will execute the loop body once, then it will check the condition. And in this case, before executing the loop body, it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will come inside and execute the loop body. And in this, so what it means? Now in this case, the loop body is going to be executed 0 times if the condition is failed from the past time, and n number of time depending on the condition. And in this case, at least the loop is going to be executed once.